Okay.
Welcome to the Mafia Sports Report. I am Tommy, and today we're going to be finding out every NFL team's greatest draft steal. Let's get this thing going. Boy, I don't know who the Buffalo Bills' greatest steal is. Very curious. We will find out shortly. Let's get this thing going.
Most draft picks do not work out. And the truth is, the odds only get worse the further down the draft board you go. But every once in a while, a team finds a hidden gem so special that it makes the rest of the league look completely foolish for passing on them over and over again. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Your mind immediately goes to Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
There's a couple teams who might have done just as good at finding that needle in the haystack, if not better. So today we are going through what I believe is the biggest draft steal in the history of every NFL team. And I will say before we start that I'm putting a lot of emphasis on draft
Put in the
position.
comments
So for this video,
who you
the
think
lower the draft
your
position,
team's
the better their chances
greatest
are.
draft
And
steal
also,
is,
this
if
video
it's
is
not on
presented
this
to you
list.
by Prize Picks.
All right, here we go. Let's
Starting
get
with
this
the
thing going.
Jaguars, I'm going to go with Maurice Jones-Drew, who was taken 60th overall in 2006. He was nowhere near the biggest guy on the field, standing in at just 5'7", but what he lacked in height, he balanced out with his weight at 210 pounds. Jones-Drew had this low center of gravity that made him almost impossible to bring down.
Dude was like a little
It wasn't just his
bowling
running
ball,
ability
man.
that made him so valuable. He was also an elite blocker who was definitely not afraid of contact. By 2011, he was leading the entire NFL in rushing with 1,606 yards and 11 total touchdowns. What made that season even more impressive was the situation around him. The Jaguars were not a good team, which meant every defense knew exactly what was coming. They stacked the box with 8 or even 9 defenders at times, daring Jacksonville to throw the ball, but it didn't matter. Jones-Drew still dominated. He earned first-team All-Pro that season and made 3 Pro Bowls overall. MJD finished second in franchise history behind only Fred Taylor as the Jaguars' all-time rushing leader with 8,071 yards and 13,115 all-purpose yards. Could I have gone with David Garrard here? Sure. But without Jones-Drew leading the rushing attack, I don't think Garrard would even be in the conversation. And before we continue, like I mentioned earlier, this video is sponsored by Prize Picks. With the NBA playoffs on the horizon,
have it in my area,
by
so
putting
it doesn't
together
work
a few
for this
lineups of
guy.
my own. And I'm hoping we can gather up a little cash for the end of April and beginning of May.
Picks. I will try it, but
so for this week, I've
Michigan
got Tyrese
says,
Maxey going over 19.5 points against the Bucks. Franz
picks.
Wagner making at least 1 3-pointer against the Celtics, and Wembanyama scoring at least 20 against the Nuggets. Denver has had San Antonio's number.
All right, can we move on from the Prize Picks
stats? And you have best of all is use code 8 with today's video. Next up, we've got the Texans, and I feel like the correct option is Owen Daniels. He came out of Wisconsin in 2006 as the 98th overall pick, caught 5 touchdowns as a rookie, and quickly became the go-to tight end for Matt Schaub in Houston. Daniels was never the flashiest player on the field, but he was incredibly reliable, and that's what made him so valuable. He made the Pro Bowl in 2008 and 2012, helping Houston reach the playoffs twice during that stretch. Well, obviously, Arian Foster would be getting the nod here because he's one of the best Texans ever. But since he went undrafted, he does not count for today's list, and Daniels gets my vote.
Sorry, I didn't know about this guy.
Houston, Daniels caught 385 passes for 4,617 yards and 29 touchdowns. Sometimes the biggest steals aren't the loudest names, but instead the players who show up every single week and do not let you down. Okay, let's hop over to the Ravens now. Adalys Thomas was a 6th rounder who ended up being one of the better defensive players of his era.
I don't know this guy
is dangerous was the fact
and
that
I know football.
Oh, excuse me. He could rush the passer, drop back in coverage, play linebacker, and wreck special teams plays.
Yeah, you guys are going to kill me in the comment section. I already know
11 sacks, a pick, a safety, and a
I really don't remember
touchdown.
This guy.
He earned first-team All-Pro honors and was a big part of the #1 ranked defense in the NFL that season. After that monster year, Thomas signed with the Patriots on a 5-year, $35 million contract. But while he was on Baltimore, he made 2 Pro Bowls and got a Super Bowl ring during his rookie year, even though he barely saw the field. Not many teams are taking guys in the 9th round and expecting much. But when Minnesota picked
Ninth
Scott
round, remember that?
Studwell,
They used to go like
250th overall
shit
in
ton of rounds in the draft.
1977, they got one of the most underrated linebackers in the league. By 1980, he was starting and having an impact on every single game. And in 1981, Studwell set the Vikings single-season tackle record with 230. He had a reputation as one of the most durable and high-volume tacklers in the league. Towards the end of his time with the Vikings, Studwell made 2 Pro Bowls and eventually became the Minnesota all-time leading tackler with 1,981 in his career.
And that's why he's a draft steal.
Vikings fans might be upset that I didn't pick 6-time Pro Bowler Matt Burke here, but getting a 9th-round steal like Studwell is just too rare for me to pass up. Weirdly enough, we are double dipping with the 1977 draft once again. The Jets took Joe Flacco in the 6th round, 144th overall, and got a guy who spent the next decade making life miserable for opposing offenses. Damn good. He could play defensive end or nose tackle, and he was a problem anywhere he lined up.
How I know this guy, and I don't know the other guys.
Of the Jets' famous New York sack exchange, even coming away with 20.5 sacks in 1981, which was just insane numbers, especially back then. Flacco played 11 years for the Jets, making 4 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pro first teams before eventually being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Hall of Fame, he better be on.
For the Chiefs, I'm going to go with Will Shields. He came out of Nebraska in 1993 as the 74th overall pick and went on to become one of the most durable offensive linemen the NFL has ever seen. He started 15 out of 16 games as a rookie, and throughout his entire 14-year career, the guy never missed a single game. Shields played in 224 consecutive games and played at a high level,
especially for an offensive lineman.
Time. He made 12 Pro Bowls.
You don't hear that much, guys.
Into the Hall of Fame in 2015.
Hall of Famer.
For a 3rd-round pick, that's a hell of a steal. Newer Chiefs fans might be upset that I didn't pick Tyreek Hill here, who was drafted in the 5th round, 165th overall.
Which is a steal,
but I really don't feel like Shields' 14 years without missing a single game is comparable to 6 good seasons that Hill had in Kansas City.
100%, I agree.
Chiefs fans might be asking about Bobby Bell, drafted in the 7th round, 56th overall. Made the Hall of Fame in 1983 for being one of the best linebackers in the AFL days. If you want to swap those 2 out, I don't really have a problem with it. At the end of the day, this is a highly opinion-based list. Cincinnati took Tim Krumrie in the 10th round, 276th overall back in 1983. So this
excuse me.
A no-brainer. He was a nose tackle who played football at Wisconsin in college, and he was beloved by his Bengals teammates due to his insane level of toughness. If being drafted that late and still winning over his teammates wasn't impressive enough, Krumrie worked his way up to being a full-time starter by just his 2nd year. Eventually, in 1987, he made his first Pro Bowl, and the very next year, he made the All-Pro first team after recording 152 tackles on the year. I do want to say that Geno Atkins caught my eye when I was doing research.
Geno Atkins,
for the Bengals.
damn good.
The guy was a steal in the 4th round of the 2010 draft.
Absolutely.
8 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pro first teams. But you just can't beat the value that Cincy got out of that 10th round.
I mean, that's a good argument, though.
Okay,
I'm
if
not
you
going to lie.
watched the Titans
Atkins
in the
was a
late
beast.
2000s, you know exactly who Cortland Finnegan
yes,
was.
I do.
This guy loved getting under people's skin, and he didn't back down from a fight, even if he didn't win. Tennessee took him 215th overall in the 2006 draft. By his 2nd year, he was a full-time starter, and in 2008, he had a legendary season, in large part thanks to Albert Haynesworth wreaking havoc on the defensive line. Finnegan had 5 picks, one of which was returned for a touchdown, and finished with 69 tackles. The stats don't truly explain how important he was to the Titans.
No, he was damn good.
They even made the playoffs before eventually losing to the Ravens in the divisional round. Finnegan played 6 years for Tennessee before venturing to St. Louis.
But I think most of us remember the fight with Andre Johnson,
especially at 215th overall.
He wasn't backing down from nobody.
The Saints, who took Marcus Colston 252nd overall in 2006. As nearly the last pick in the entire draft, he had no choice but to put his head down and prove everyone wrong. Colston did exactly that when he put up 1,038 scrimmage yards as a rookie. That was no fluke either. He spent 10 seasons in New Orleans and became the franchise's all-time leader in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Him and Drew Brees had a great connection, and New Orleans wouldn't have won a Super Bowl if it wasn't for these two being on the same page. The Falcons took running back Jamal Anderson in the 7th round, 201st overall in 1994.
Absolutely.
After battling his way up the depth chart for his first 2 years, he finally got a chance to start in 1996, and he made it count. Anderson carried the ball 232 times and ended with 1,528 yards from scrimmage. After securing his job, 1998 was when he really shined. Atlanta handed him the ball 410 times, which was an NFL record until Larry Johnson eventually broke it. He had 2,165 yards from scrimmage and 16
that's a hell of a season,
touchdowns,
folks.
made the Pro Bowl, and basically carried the Falcons all the way to Super Bowl 33. His career was unfortunately cut short due to a brutal ACL tear, but what he did in that one season alone makes him one of the best 7th round picks the Falcons have ever made. Joe Schmidt fell to the 7th round in 1953 because of injuries he picked up in college at Pittsburgh. The Lions took a chance on him, and he repaid them by helping them win the NFL championship in his very first year. He went on to make 10
Look at that, Detroit. You got yourself a championship.
Teams with 8 of them being first-team appearances. He was the defensive captain.
So does the Buffalo Bills in the NFL, all
right? And the one opposing offenses
we have some trophies
around every single week. In the 1957 championship game, he contributed with an interception that helped Detroit win its 3rd title in 6 years. Schmidt got into the Hall of Fame in 1973 as one of the best 7th-round steals in history. I do have to say, people are going to be mad that I didn't pick Amon-Ra St. Brown for this spot, but I think he needs to perform a few more years before we can say it's the biggest draft steal in Lions history.
He may be, though, if he keeps playing the way he's playing.
Boy Kelly, who was an 8th round pick.
Boy, they're going way back, folks.
For his first couple seasons,
some of you old timers might know these guys.
In front of him was Jim Brown, so yeah, it's kind of hard to.
I didn't start watching until '89, guys. So this is a little bit
did not miss
before my time.
He led the NFL in rushing in both 1967 and 1968, and made 6 Pro Bowls. He finished with 9,555 scrimmage yards and was eventually inducted into the Hall of Fame. Then we've got another 8th round draft pick.
Richard Dent
was selected 203rd overall. The Bears took Richard Dent in 1983, and he went on to become the MVP of one of the most dominant Super Bowl performances in NFL history. In 1984, Dent finished with 17.5 sacks. Then the very next year, he led the NFL with 17 sacks. That Bears defense was already terrifying, but
Christian Okoye said
amplified
that Richard Dent hit
Chicago
the hardest.
Made it all the way
Dent
to the Super Bowl
also had a concussion from the hit on Okoye.
46-10. He finished his career with
But dude was an absolute
137.5
beast.
sacks, which was 3rd all-time when he retired, only behind Reggie White and Bruce Smith. Pretty crazy to look back on, especially knowing that he was drafted in the 8th round. Linebacker Rod Martin was taken in the 12th round, and to me seems like the biggest steal in Raiders franchise history. I mean, when you get an All-Pro at 317th overall, it's something special. And just like Dent, Martin ended up having a very memorable Super Bowl performance of his own. In Super Bowl 15 against the Eagles, he intercepted 3 passes, which is still a record to this day. The Raiders won 27-10, and Martin was all over the field. He made 2 Pro Bowls with the Raiders, along with 2 All-Pro teams, and called it a career after 12 years with the franchise. Back in 1979, the Buccaneers took David Logan 307th overall in the 12th round.
Let's see.
He became a starting nose tackle in his 2nd year and anchored that defensive line for the better part of a decade. He finished with 38.8 sacks and helped Tampa Bay reach the playoffs twice in the early 80s, back when the team was still trying to find its footing. Now, listen, I could have easily gone with Hall of Fame cornerback Rondé Barber here, but at a 12th round value, Logan was a huge steal. Okay, for Miami, it's got to be Zach Thomas.
Absolutely. I hate the fucking Dolphins, but
154th overall. He fell because he was considered undersized for a linebacker, standing in at just 5'11", which caused a lot of teams to pass on him. Thankfully, Miami pulled the trigger and got one of the best defensive players of his era. Thomas finished his career with 1,734 total tackles, 7 Pro Bowls, 5 first-team All-Pro selections, and a spot on the Hall of Fame All-2000s team. Along with all those accomplishments, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2023. Really can't ask for much more than that from your 5th round guy. But if you think late round steals are impressive now, just imagine taking a guy in the 18th round back in 1965.
18 rounds.
He turns out to be a future Hall of Fame linebacker.
That's a shit ton of rounds.
And I'd say he turned out to be quite a bit better than your average 18th round pick. He found his way into the starting lineup as a rookie and never really looked back. The
My
guy
God.
had 9 Pro Bowl
18
appearances,
round.
3 first-team All-Pro selections, and 19 career interceptions. He helped
There you
Washington
go.
reach the Super Bowl in the 1972 season and was named to the NFL's 1970s All-Decade team. Hamburger was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2011 and
Can't
is
beat that
easily
for
one of the
18th
latest round
round.
steals in this video. One thing that helps is when you make not 1, but 2 All-Decade teams. Larry Wilson was a 7th round pick out of Utah. He was considered undersized for a defensive back at 6 foot, 190 pounds, but what teams missed was that he was tough as nails and was determined to be a menace. He was one of the first players to really utilize the safety blitz. He'd come from deep in the secondary, and offensive coordinators had no idea what to do with him. In 1965, he played an entire game with both hands in cast and still intercepted a pass. In 1966, he led the NFL with 10 interceptions, including picks in 7 straight games, and came in second in MVP voting. Wilson finished with 52 career interceptions and was inducted into the Hall of Fame right once he became eligible in 1978. All right, moving on. The next player up is quarterback Roger Staubach, who was a 10th round pick in 1964.
10th round. Wow.
But he didn't even join the Cowboys until 1969 because he had a 4-year military commitment to fulfill with the Navy. Dallas essentially drafted him and decided it would be worth the wait. Turns out they were right. He led the Cowboys to 2 Super Bowl wins, 1 Super Bowl VI MVP after going undefeated as a starter that year, and became one of the most clutch quarterbacks the league has ever seen. The Hail Mary to Drew Pearson in the 1975 NFC divisional round is still one of the most iconic plays in NFL history. Staubach threw for over 22,000 yards, rushed for over 2,200 more,
impressive,
and made 6 Pro Bowls before retiring as one of the most respected players of his era. He also made the All-1970s team and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1985. From one legendary quarterback to another, the Packers took Bart Starr 200th overall in 1956.
Get him, Bart
another huge steal. As you'd expect for a guy drafted that late, it was a while before he really got going. But when he did, he went on to win 5 NFL championships with 2 Super Bowl MVPs. But one of his most famous games was in the Ice Bowl in 1967. In freezing conditions, with 13 seconds left, the Cowboys were on the goal line. Starr called his own number on a quarterback sneak and scored the game-winning touchdown.
But Starr, I got this,
25,000 yards over 16 years and got into the Hall of Fame in 1977. The guy is for sure one of the greatest late-round picks the NFL has ever seen, and he came away as a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Now let's hop over to the Colts, and this was
they're going back on this draft steal list.
Perry, who was selected 232nd overall in 1954. He wasn't all that fast or physically imposing, but he was obsessive about his craft. He studied film constantly and ran routes in a way that made him almost impossible to cover.
Great catch.
Perry became the go-to target for Johnny Unitas and had 9,275 yards and 68 touchdowns over his career. The 1958 NFL Championship, known as the greatest game ever played, he caught 12 passes for 178 yards and a touchdown in the overtime win. He led the league in receiving yards 3 different times and retired as the all-time leader in receptions and receiving yards. What made this decision tough is that Robert Mathis is absolutely worth mentioning here.
Dude, absolutely.
Who finished with 123 career sacks and 52 forced fumbles, which is still the most in NFL history. He also made 5 Pro Bowls and got a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, dude, that's
being taken in the 20th round.
Put in the comment section what you guys think, man, on this one, because
the Giants took Rosie Brown in the 27th round in 1953, which was 322nd overall.
My time, I'm not gonna lie.
Basically an afterthought, but he turned into one of the greatest offensive linemen in the 50s and 60s. He started right away and helped the Giants make 6 playoff appearances. All in all, he had 9 Pro Bowl appearances, 6 first-team All-Pro selections, and was a key part of the 1956 championship team. He was also inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1975. A guy taken in the 27th round becoming a Hall of Famer.
27th round?
The Rams
I'm live streaming the draft, guys. Can you imagine that I live streamed 27 rounds?
1961 draft. Everyone who passed on him multiple times found out pretty quickly why that was a huge mistake. He spent the next decade making offensive linemen's lives really, really difficult, becoming one of the most impactful defensive players the game has ever seen. Just look at this string of 5 seasons when he hit his peak. 22, 19, 16, 21 and a half, 22, and 15 sacks. On top of all that, he made 8 Pro Bowls, 5 first-team All-Pro selections, was in the MVP conversation twice, even coming in second in the 1967 voting, and made it into the Hall of Fame in 1980. Getting one of the most dominant pass rushers of his era that late in the draft is just insane value. But grabbing Richard Sherman in the 5th round at pick 154 is arguably just as impressive, considering how quickly he became one of the top corners in the league, right up there with prime Darrelle Revis. By his second season, Sherman was first-team All-Pro and led the league with 24 pass deflections. Next year, he led the NFL with 8 interceptions. He was a huge part of the Legion of Boom, a defense so good that they destroyed Peyton Manning's record-breaking offense in that 43-8 Super Bowl win. When he retired, he had 5 Pro Bowl appearances, 3 first-team All-Pro selections, and a spot on the 2010s All-Decade team. And if you thought you've seen some studs already, stick around because you are not going to want to miss these final 8 guys. For the Eagles,
down to 8.
Steal has got to be Jason Kelce, who went 191st overall in 2011. It's easy to forget that they drafted him so late, considering he won the starting job as a rookie and basically held it for the next 13 years. With Kelce, it's easy to see the New Heights podcast clips and overlook how good he really was. He's a lock for the Hall of Fame and easily one of the best centers to ever play. He was a 7-time Pro Bowler, earned 6 All-Pro first-team appearances, and they won a Super Bowl in the 2017 season. I don't know if that would have been possible without him. I'd say this was a pretty damn good return on investment for Philly.
Probably not.
Up next is the Panthers. And when they took Steve Smith in the 3rd round, what they got was one of the most competitive receivers the NFL has ever seen. The guy was 5'9", one of the biggest shit talkers. He had something to prove in the NFL every single week. 2005, he led the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns all in the same season. The Triple Crown is actually a lot more rare than you'd think, especially in today's game. He's one of only 4 guys to win it since 1992. Wow. Crazy thing is, if you look at some of the other names that have won it, like Jerry Rice, Cooper Kupp, or Jamar Chase, for example, you realize they had great quarterbacks throwing the ball. Smith did it with Jake Delhomme. He finished with 15,118 yards from scrimmage across 16 seasons, along with making 5 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pro first teams. The Chargers took Dan Fouts in 1973 with the 64th overall pick out of Oregon, and for a few years, he didn't look like anything too special. He went 0-5-1 as a rookie, 3-8 the next year, and 2-7 the year after that. But once Don Coryell arrived as head coach in 1978, everything changed. Fouts threw for over 4,000 yards in a season, 3 straight years from 1979 until 1981. Which sounds normal now, but was he the original Dan the Man? He led the NFL in passing yards 4 years running, took the Chargers to back-to-back AFC championship games, and finished with over 43,000 passing yards. When he retired, Fouts was second in NFL history. But maybe the most impressive year he had was in 1982, and it doesn't get talked about enough. Over just 9 games in the strike-shortened season, he threw for 2,883 yards. Which means he would have been on pace for well over 5,000 in a full year. It could have been even more than the record Dan Marino set in 1984. The Bills are up next, and they had an amazing steal with Andre. They took him during the 4th round in 1985, 86th overall.
Gotta agree then. Absolutely. Andre Reed. I don't know why that didn't come to mind
in 4 consecutive Super Bowls with Buffalo. His best moment had to be in the playoffs against Houston in the 1992 season. The Bills were down 35-3 early in the 3rd quarter, and instead of giving up,
Hall of Fame player,
3 touchdown passes as Buffalo pulled off an insane comeback, winning 41-38 in overtime. He finished with 13,698 yards from scrimmage and 88 total touchdowns before getting into the Hall of Fame in 2014. All right, now we're getting towards the biggest steals in history. Next up is Joe Montana. The 49ers took him in the 3rd round in 1979, 82nd overall out of Notre Dame. He only had 1 start as a rookie, played a bit more the next year, but it was 1981 when he really arrived. What followed was one of the greatest quarterback careers the NFL has ever seen.
Absolutely.
4 Super Bowl rings, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, back-to-back league MVPs in 1989 and 1990, and the leader of some of the most impressive drives in NFL history. He's the kind of player where the bigger the moment, the better his performance every single time. He finished with 40,551
Joe Cool
passing
right
yards
there.
and a 92.3 career passer rating, along with a perfect 4-0 record in the Super Bowl. When he got there, he certainly lived up to the nickname Joe Cool. But we're going to have Antonio Brown as an even bigger
you got him.
steal. Not because he had a better career than Montana. It's because Pittsburgh took him in the 6th round in 2010.
Yeah, dude, absolute
195th overall. At that point in the draft, you're just hoping a guy makes the roster. But Brown became the best receiver in the NFL during his prime and made cornerbacks look silly in the process. In 2014, he led the league in both receptions and receiving yards. He had 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons with the Steelers and earned 4 first-team All-Pro selections. 3 different times, he finished top 3 in Offensive Player of the Year voting. This guy was impossible to cover. Obviously, towards the end, there was a lot of off-field stuff that kind of takes away from all that. But during his prime with the Steelers, he was as dominant as any receiver in the league.
Absolutely.
Before we move on, I do have to give a shout-out to Mike Webster, who I almost picked here, made the Hall of Fame for Pittsburgh after being drafted 125th overall. I just feel like if Brown didn't suffer from all the CTE, he would have been easily a first-ballot Hall of Famer. And ironically enough, after retiring, Webster's life basically got ruined by CTE, so I guess these guys both have that in common. Broncos actually had 2 ridiculous steals that I want to mention. First up is Terrell Davis, who was drafted in the 6th round, 196th overall in 1995. By his second season, he was right up there with Barry Sanders as the best running back in the league with 1,848 yards from scrimmage.
He's what helped
becoming
get the Super Bowls.
All-Pro and winning Offensive Player of the Year.
He's a big reason why.
He ran for 2,008 yards and won the MVP. Depending on who you ask, this guy was the best postseason rusher of all time, putting up ridiculous numbers. In Super Bowl 32 against the Packers, he ran for 157 yards and 3 touchdowns while dealing with a migraine so bad he was getting sick on the sideline. His knees gave out in his prime, and he only played 7 seasons, with the last 3 basically not even counting, but he still made the Hall of Fame in 2017. We also have to mention Shannon Sharp. He was a 7th round pick out of Savannah State.
7th round.
8 Pro Bowls, 4 first-team All-Pro appearances, and got into the Hall of Fame in 2011.
Absolutely.
I feel like
That's
PD
a tough
edges
one.
him out here as the Broncos' biggest steal,
a tough
but this
one, guys.
was really close. Thing that makes Davis so impressive is that
put in the
Denver
comment
doesn't
section
win
what you
those 2
think.
Super Bowls
That's a tough
without
one.
him. That's the
That's what I
definition
said.
of a
I don't think they win a Super Bowl without
grabbing a
Terrell.
guy in the 6th round and going on to win back-to-back Super Bowls.
That's why I would pick Terrell Davis
Speaking
over
of back-to-back Super Bowls, last but certainly not least, you should have all known that Tom Brady would be the final name on today's list. The Pats took him 199th overall in 2000. 6 quarterbacks went ahead of him. Every team in the league passed on him multiple times, which, let's be honest, is the biggest mistake of all time. Brady pretty much put the GOAT debate to rest with 7 Super Bowl rings. In Super Bowl 51, he brought the Patriots back from down 28-3 at halftime and won in overtime. His career numbers are ridiculous
out there looking like
and
Mike
might never be beaten. He threw for 89,214 career yards and 649 touchdowns over 23 seasons. So that is who I chose as every team's biggest draft steal. Let me know which players you guys would choose and which player surprised you the most. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one.
All right, guys. So that was it, man. Oh, man. That was the every NFL team's greatest draft steals. Some of the guys I did not recognize. A lot of the guys obviously were back in the 60s and 70s. But a lot of those names I did recognize, and crazy where they were drafted and what they became in the NFL. A lot of them Hall of Famers. So absolutely, you could find these hidden gems late in rounds. It doesn't happen often, right? But it shows you they are there. Puka Nacua, obviously, probably the last one I can recall that's on pace to be obviously, maybe the Rams' greatest draft steal if he can chill out on his off-field stuff, whatever's going on right now with him. But if he can stay on course, on the field and keep the off-field stuff, let's just chill out there, Puka. You'll be all right. But anyways, guys, I'm going to be doing more reaction videos every day or every other day. So look for that on my channel. I appreciate you guys watching. And Bills Mafia, I love you. Go Go Bills. I'm out of here. Peace.
Just let your soul go. Just let it shine through. Just let your